is your host, Joanna Clements, reporting the nail-biting election of 1860. After the insurgents in the Kansas Territory by the border ruffians, much of which can be credited to Stephen Douglas's popular sovereignty, the nation was in desperate need for an efficient president. And after the race for Illinois Senate seat between Douglas and Lincoln, I hear that people are switching gears, and it is clear that Lincoln has got this one under his belt. I mean, come on, who wouldn't like this guy? Even a little girl wrote and suggested that he grow a beard, and she reasoned that all the ladies like whiskers and they would tease their husbands to vote for him, and then he could be the president. He was a national figure representing the Republican Party. Douglas, beyond any doubt, lost his reputation and support in the South with his free port doctrine.
It's nice to see a fresh face in the running, don't you think, Joanna? His name is Abraham Lincoln, a man from Chicago. He believes in economic self-interest, internal improvements, a protective tariff, free land for the homesteaders, and a railroad to the Pacific. He also strongly disagrees with the expansion of slavery in the territories. Slavery is a key issue in this election. There is also debate among the candidates of morality. Each one seems to be questioning the other's interpretation of right from wrong.
Kansas's election there were some complications even with the nominations. At the first convention held at Charleston Institute Hall, South Carolina in April, Stephen Douglas was ahead on the first ballot, needing 56.5 more votes. On the 57th ballot, Douglas was still ahead, but still 51.5 votes short of nomination. In desperation, the delegates agreed on May 3rd to stop voting and adjourn the convention. The Democrats convened again at the Front Street Theater in Baltimore, Maryland on June 18 and nominated the ticket of Stephen Douglas of Illinois for president. When the third and final convention reconvened, it elected Vice President John C. Breckinridge of Kentucky for president and Senator Joseph Lane of Oregon for vice president. The oddball Constitutional Party, Union Party, nominated John Bell of Tennessee for president and Edward Everett of Massachusetts for vice president. A loose association of supporters of Senator Samuel Houston nominated him for presidency in behalf of the People's Party, and later withdrew. Did you know, Amelia, that 9 states didn't even have Lincoln as an option for president in the ballot? I'm going to guess that most of his electoral votes are going to be coming from the northern states in that case.
And now we are going to interview a Republican. Who do you want to win the election and why?
I think Lincoln, because he's from our party and he's from the North, so he supports what I'm supporting.
An interview with Southern Democrat. Who do you want to win the election and why?
I want Stephen Douglas to win the election because he represents the southern states and believes in what I believe in.
Breaking news. The votes have just closed and we have a winner. It is Lincoln, as we have predicted, and he will now be officially the 16th President of the United States of America.
When ballots were cast, the electoral votes were as follows: Douglas, 12, Bell, 39, Breckinridge, 72, and Lincoln with an astounding 180. The popular vote left Douglas with 1,381,944 votes, or about 29.5%. Bell got about 590,946 votes, or about 12.6% of the popular vote. Breckinridge got 851,844, or about 18.2% of the popular vote. Lincoln got about 39% of the popular vote, so about 1,855,993 votes. This is a win for Lincoln. You were right, Joanna. Most of Lincoln's electoral votes came from the North. It makes sense if you think about it. A man from Chicago and a Republican. Most Republicans are from the North. That's a sectional division right there, right, Joanna? And his electoral cities were more than the sum of his electoral votes received by his running mates. That's fascinating.
I'm hearing differentiating opinions from citizens as to why Abraham Lincoln has won the election. Many people are suggesting that it is because he was the first Republican to win presidency, which signaled new ideas could be coming into the atmosphere and more people looking towards new political parties to join and represent the bigger ideas. Also, during the Lincoln-Douglas debates that have occurred, Lincoln argued against slavery expansion, which most Northerners agreed with, while Stephen Douglas wanted to give the people the right to vote for or against slavery through popular sovereignty. Even though Lincoln lost the Senate debate against Douglas, his campaign brought attention to the young Republican Party. Lincoln heavily defeated the other candidates he ran against: Southern Democrat John C. Breckinridge, Constitutional Union candidate John Bell, and Northern Democrat Stephen Douglas with 40% of popular vote and 59% the Electoral College. At the announcement of Lincoln's victory, secession of the Southern states became apparent, and by the time of Lincoln's inauguration on March 4, 1861, 7 states had seceded. There will be more information on why secession coming up.
Southern states had previously threatened secession if a Republican candidate were to become president. These states threatened this because they believed that Republicans being in power would threaten their way of life. While Lincoln did not call for an immediate abolition of slavery, these states feared abolition in the future. South Carolina was the first to secede the Union and form the Confederate States of America, also known as the Confederacy. South Carolina was joined by Alabama, Florida, Georgia, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Texas, and then later Virginia, Arkansas, North Carolina, and Tennessee. Northern states attempted to preserve this union and try to convince the southern states to come back, but it did not work. Also, James Buchanan, who was still president at the time, declared secession unconstitutional, but he did nothing else. On Lincoln's day of inauguration, he delivered a speech encouraging the South to come back and promising to protect already existing slaves. However, the southern states did not come back. But Northerners are not going to let the Southerners secede without a fight. A war is on the horizon, and war is inevitable.
Thanks for watching.